Computer. Hello, computer. Yes, activate program. Trekyards. Episode God knows how many. Let's go 1433.
Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Coggins. Welcome back. But, Stuart, I have a question. I'm going to start with a question, okay?
Oh, sure.
Who was your first crush in school and why? And how? And if?
That would be Susan Cole. That was probably grade 5. Yeah, it's funny you asked that, haven't thought about that in a long time. But,
I want to know personal things, This is a great place to ask those things,
Okay, sure. Unimportant question, but
you have to tell me as well, don't you? I mean, that's the
well,
you could say almost programmed to tell me whatever I ask.
I feel inclined to answer any question you might, ask, depending how personal it was, Anyway, guys, the point is we're getting at something here.
Is that what you wanted, Stuart? Was that what you wanted?
That was good. That was really good, yeah. Yeah, the fact is, when we were watching the last episode of Lower Decks called Crisis Point, something really stuck out to me. And I think it's a huge security risk.
Set the scene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, Boimler, he is wanting to get ahead in his career. That's his thing. He's Mr.
From
Starfleet.
ensign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long way to go.
Yeah, and so any opportunity he can find to impress the captain or impress an officer, he will take. So what he does is he creates a program of the Cerritos. He creates the characters or the people around him as characters on the holodeck, and he does so by using logs, which he's said in previous episodes. He reads all the official logs at least.
We make like 8 logs a day.
Yeah, well he does, yeah, but he reads everybody else's logs, at least the official logs. In this episode, it is pointed out that he told the computer to upload private logs as well, to flesh out the characters and make them more realistic, so that he can, ask, little innocuous questions here and there to get little bits of information.
Because you can imagine that, the open logs are all about the day-to-day grind. How many nuggets of who they are? I mean, they're formal.
My thing was for an ensign to be able to ask the computer to say, all right. I mean, Geordi did the same thing with Leah Brahms. He said, flesh out her personality by adding any personal logs, anything you can find about her, add it. And the computer just automatically did. So he did the same thing with the personal logs. And the personal logs are personal for a reason. They're private. They have private information. They have things that you might not want known, such as Mariner not wanting people to know that Captain Freeman is her mom. Things like that. That gets translated into the program as a result of the computer just saying, all right, boom, you don't have any security clearance, you're an ensign, but I'll do it anyway. So all these characters have all the personal log information and official log information uploaded into them to make them more realistic, more interactive, and that's fine. But like I said, one little innocuous question about a personal matter, and the program doesn't know that the person might want to keep that secret. It comes out as a response to a question, or you overhear a conversation between one of the holodeck programs and another one. It just seems like a huge security risk. So if an ensign can do that, I'm just saying that anybody with a holodeck can essentially get any kind of information they want out of a Starfleet officer that is available through a log, which you don't know what's available in the personal logs necessarily, but you upload all that information, and who knows what you could find out.
Now, the way it was handled in the episode was he says it very nonchalant, and Rutherford is like, "Wait, really?" and they move past it, which does give us that an officer's like, "Wait, what?" But so there is that sense of although, and there's loads of points that I want to, let's talk about. Now, the first one instantly stood out to me was the payoff at the end is that yes. The captain says, "My daughter Mariner saved everyone." And you assume that going through personal logs. Thing is, the computer would know their service record and know their history, and so without
their DNA and medical information.
Without the personal logs, they would know that. So that would be completely irrelevant to the personal logs. That would just be a fact. And it's not like it's classified. That would be absurd, unless it's like legitimately classified. But that would be really, really silly. So first of all, that takes that out of the equation. And in personal information, though, like if you had a diary, which is not the same thing. If you had a diary, you put your heart and soul into, right? But you've got your official log, which we often hear is a start. We did this, and this. That's it. Personal log tends to be we did this, and this, and I was uncomfortable with this, and this.
Because this is how I feel about this person, or I don't trust this person, or something. Yes.
It's still a formally added to your job log. It's not a private for yourself. It's a private, like, secure log in the official work computer. So, assuming they would just tell all their dark, deep secrets to a formal log, I think that's probably a line we can say they're not going to cross. Maybe some people will, but it's not for that. It's still an official work log. I don't think people at work are saying, well, if I hadn't murdered those 3 people, okay, save log, and then you can Google it, So I think the information is going to be very diverse. For some people, nothing at all. For some people, just a few more personality traits, because they can be honest, but they're not going to necessarily spill all their secrets.
And it's not necessarily representative of that person. Like I said, if I was making a log that, I knew was going to go in the official record, but still be marked private, like for future reference in 50 years, it'll be able to be read and, simulation created on it. I would say, oh yeah, I wanted to do this, or I felt this way about a certain thing. When that's not necessarily the case. I might be very self-conscious. And I think we got that with Billups, where he's sitting there, look, he's stone cold badass, and he's sipping soup. Whereas in the simulation, he was getting everybody out of engineering, being the hero, and I'm sure he would be. He is the chief engineer, but I don't think the personal logs necessarily represent the true nature of a person. Now, if in this scenario, he said, if you can find any correspondence with any family members or anything that you can also include in their computer, please go do so. Which again is more private information, but if it's not restricted as private or top secret or classified or whatever, and it's just in the computer's records, and all that gets lumped in together with this simulation, which I think is the case that happened with Leah Brahms a little bit, because it was everything.
It was her papers as well. It was her other
her writings and things. So. I mean, if that's the case, then it's more of a security risk. And I really appreciate your thoughts on that, because I never really considered that.
Neither did I until you mentioned your spiel. I was like,
Yeah. There's still, they're personal logs, but they're still official. They're like little notes you'd make at the end of your shift. If you were working in a factory, you have the little shift log, and you put, so-and-so did this or whatever.
So it's still on the record.
Yeah, you wouldn't go on about your love life on it necessarily.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we've seen many times Picard access someone's personal logs for many reasons. They are just accessible because you need a bit of extra information, but it's normally about the situation, about the mission. But it's still... That's why you said it doesn't represent the person, because they're also highlights of a mission, highlights of a day, highlights of a work. So it'll give you a taster, but it really won't give you a sense of who they are. But the computer also does have a psych profile, a personality profile of the person. So there is, you couldn't create a facsimile with logs because it's only a portion. It's everything put together. So I think it sounds sort of dodgy to an ensign, but I think it's pretty standard-ish. Then the question is, how accessible are the personal logs? Now, in this society, information is... You wouldn't think it's as guarded, because people, put it this way, in Canada, you don't lock your doors. Most of the world, that's an absurdity.
Depends where you are. Yeah.
Sure, but in neighbourhoods near you, you don't. And most people will be like, "What are you doing? That's ridiculous." But you feel comfortable too, and that's today. So in the future, people aren't going to snoop. The personal log might be actually accessible, and people assume that. Obviously you're logged in as accessing something, so you have to have a good reason. But people trust each other to say, "Well, yes, I mean." You need a reason, etc.
Now, the thing that I find interesting, too, is in Deep Space Nine, it's expressly forbidden from scanning a person to get a holodeck image of them, because Quark needs to get a scan of Kira to get for somebody's personal holodeck program, if you remember. Now, this is not a Federation starship.
Or personnel,
where I think all the personnel have,
they'd have to be.
They'd be represented in a holodeck form anyway for training purposes and things like that. But, I mean, I think there's a lot of lines there that are very questionable as far as privacy goes, as far as security goes. There's just it seems like a lot of loopholes. But, I mean, we've seen that before with holodeck programs. But you think they'd learn each time and initiate something new to kind of quell it. Because, like I said, you can get information about somebody. Like, let's say there's an ensign down on deck 12 that you think is really cute, and you upload all of her whatever into the computer, go on the holodeck, find out her favorite movie, her favorite food, and then you go down, meet her, and say, "Hey, you want to go for pasta?" She's, "Oh my God, that's my favorite food." Automatically, you're hitting it off with her, but she went about it in a sneaky ass way. And you're manipulating the situation.
But that's
it opens up a lot of problems.
But you're completely only works if she actually talked about that stuff. If she's not the sort of person that
exactly.
then you can't. End of story. So you have to like 10 people and hope that one maybe puts information down. Now it is more a factoid of a sense of who they are, because I'm sure you could also computer. Access, the replicator records. How many times has Lauren replicated pasta? 433 times. Because why would you lock that? Again, this is a future where we don't have wealth, money, possessions beyond the sort of vaguest sense. That there isn't that same harshness. There isn't racism. There isn't sexism. There isn't, it's just people. And that said, even with knowing stuff, like, you can still head out. Geordie, chief engineer, he can fail miserably.
And does all the time.
That's all the time. That's his move. It's called failing.
So I think except for the one time where he succeeded and it was forgotten about.
Yes, anyway. That was so. So I think it's super important to remember that it's still a work log, and I would probably guess 7 times out of 10, it's a personal log about the mission. And while you might have nuggets, I doubt she's saying, like, I don't get the sense the necessary daily personal logs of, Ensign did a personal log. Today I ate pasta 4 times. I did this 7 times. I really fancied Jeremy. End personal log. Like, well, is that about work? No. Is that about, why is Starfleet getting to know this?
Of course, the few series we've heard a few personal logs, and sometimes they talk about the mission or the person that came aboard or the species.
Yeah.
And then kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent.
We've heard tangents to the important bits.
We've heard some nuggets of personal logs that I really like to go through actually now and listen to all of them. To see if there's anything like that in there. And I'm sure there is. But it's a hit and miss because not everybody would do that. Mm-hmm. The more professional people would keep it more professional. Other people would ramble and the computer would just kind of go, "Oh, okay, I'm going to record all this."
Thanks, Picard. Thanks.
Yeah. But the replicator... information's interesting. How many times they visit the holodeck, if their programs are accessible, which we've seen before, that is also a case in TNG, where you can pull up Worf's calisthenics program. You can pull up.
You'd have ones that were public and private. I mean,
I would hope so.
That would be a switch.
I would hope so.
But obviously, you're going into it is logged. So,
but if you say to the computer, "Get me all information on the captain, personal logs, official logs, holodeck programs, replicator schedule, work schedule,
toilet schedule,
how many times her the doors to her quarters open and close." You can build a real profile around that. How often she leaves, what her schedule's like, what her routine is like, and that's scary because if you know a person's routine, that's how stalkers get into people's houses and things like. I don't know. I just see a huge security issue with the holodeck, and I just wanted to point it out. That's all.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was discussing it. But obviously that was super important for Leah Brahms. That was needed. That information, without that, it wouldn't have been as useful. And then I go back to think about when Troy took the command program and she's dealing with Geordie. Like, if that Geordie is not at all like Geordie, then what's the point of having your friend Geordie as the officer have another engineer, male, 37 base program with a fully complicated program? Like, he needs to react like Geordie, otherwise what's the point? And so that's going to be a very, very in-depth version of him, which means you need all the things. And as we know, it's the subtleties that make a person, not the overall stuff. So,
but those command training programs could be locked. Like, they could have the senior staff very much represented how they would respond, but locked so that nobody can access that except for the command personnel that are doing training at the specific time. And I think everybody should get a notification whenever somebody...
I like that.
Somebody uses your likeness on the holodeck. You should get a little... Doop. Okay, so-and-so is using my likeness. What for?
But then almost But would you rather know? Isn't the anonymity, like, either everyone knows or no one knows? If you have... Because then you're losing the privacy. If you want to do something... If you want to go... have privacy and do whatever you want on the holodeck, but now everyone knows what you're doing. You don't have privacy.
But you don't want people doing certain things with your.
But what if you want to do certain things with somebody? What if a new hot ensign comes? What do you want to do something? I mean, that's the thing, isn't it?
Problem, right?
Either you all lose or you all win. I think in the future it's like they, like they say in the episode, is everyone doing bleep? Well, everyone's doing bleep. That was in lower decks. It's I think you've got to not think about it at a certain point, because if everyone has that much control, that much freedom.
Plus, you're always going to have people that can get around the system, hackers, if you will, that can get around any security protocols and make whoever they want.
I did get the very slight sense that Boimler was proud that he did the logs, as if he did a little loophole of, well, if I ask it this way round, he'll access it. Because like we just said, if you're doing a training program or you need more in depth, maybe he says, computer, I need to create a training program to help me do this, this, and this, which therefore the computer thinks is, oh, this is a formal activity for work. Obviously, you want to be the best officer, therefore the best program makes a best officer. So I can see that being a very simple loophole. But obviously, when so I think it's a little bit weird. But again, we're in the future where everyone is better, and these are also maybe not the Cerritos, but the Enterprise is 1,000 people out of hundreds of millions of people in Starfleet, all hand-picked, hand-chosen by the captain, all at the top of their game. That sort of crew is going to be justifiably good people. And it'd be hard to find any bums in that, any duds in that. I mean, to get through how many stages in even just the academy to get into the academy? The academy is not everybody. It's very few people.
But all it takes is one alien taking over a personality that accesses the computer.
But that's the same thing as why don't you put the bridge in the middle of the ship? It just takes one time the shields aren't up to hit the bridge. Yes, but you're not in a battle 99% of the time. So 99.9% of the time you're not fighting an alien.
If it's that easy for any character and ensign to access that information, any alien can use it. It's a security risk. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but is it worth securitying for that 0.00001% chance? And then everyone suffers,
Every holodeck program, every holodeck episode should follow up with these are the changes we made as a result.
Holodeck firmware 44.16. I mean, I certainly agree that there should be security, but you would assume that it's in place enough. But something like Badgie, Badgie shouldn't have been able to exist. I mean, that is the conceit of the holodeck. Like, it works until it doesn't. Shouldn't be able to create Moriarty. That's absurd. To create real living life. Like, that's literally that's God power.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. The thing is, it makes me wonder too if you do have a training program and you're on the bridge and you're at helm and you're trying to get your helm thing and there's an emergency happening and the captain authorizes an override code on the computer. Does it actually say just a fake code? Does it use the real code, which it wouldn't do? Or does it just give a beep 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 code?
Yeah,
it just bleeps everything out.
Just like 10D, the sensor bar.
Yeah, the sensor bars. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, although obviously with that sort of thing, you'd assume it would be, voice, code, biosign, DNA scan. It's not just a code; it's everything put together. They're more secure than that. If you can sight beam somebody from the bridge, you can scan their DNA from the bridge. That's not a problem. But there you go, guys. A debate on literally was a 2-line piece. Super interesting. It's not something I think we can necessarily work out. It's a personal preference thing. Like, you had more problem with that. I had a problem with the violence. These are lines we each have in our heads. And that's, it's good that we don't think alike. It creates interesting debates.
It's not that it was really a problem. It's just something I thought was worth discussing and pointing out. So,
yeah.
Speaking of, guys, because we got such a great community, put your comments down below what you think about this issue. Is it a huge security risk? Yes, probably. Let us know your thoughts, and if you believe that it's fine, or if it's not, let us know. And don't forget to like the channel, subscribe to the videos. That's the other way around. Like the videos, subscribe to the channels. Do that thing. And don't forget to click the notification bell icon to all, because we upload a lot of really great content. It's all free to watch, but we also have our lives and stuff where you can join in and talk to us. So.
And while you're there talking to us, you can super chat, comment, question, thought, discussion piece, and you can spark conversation just like this. we love it. You know, we are us, but you are many, and we like to incorporate that into our discussions. And join the channel via YouTube. There's a button right there with Super Chat. £7 a month, and it all goes towards the production of the show. It does make a difference. Or Patreon, again, that's my lifeblood. You know, we could not have had the channel going this long without Patreon, so if you can, please do. And a one-time donation at trekyards@hotmail.com. That is the PayPal. Again, super, super useful. And if you can do all of them, like a little bit on all of them, mwah, beautiful.
Absolutely. Don't forget to share the video and stuff, and just enjoy the time you have here with us at Trekyards. So until next time, guys, I'm the holodeck version of Captain Foley, I guess.
Yes. But if he knows, does that mean that he's sentient? No, it doesn't. Computer, end program. Yeah, he wasn't really there, so it doesn't really matter. Ha! Anyway, I'm Final Coggins, and I will see you next time. Maybe with the real Stuart, maybe not. We'll see, because I've apparently got holodeck powers. Bye, guys.